Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Thoth The Scribe Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon for exclusive, never seen before content. But we have another very special guest, publishing authority and self publishing company owner, as well as a creative coach for authors and an author herself, Camilla Fellas Arnold. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm awesome. I'm so excited to be speaking with you because I never had the chance to actually talk to someone from the publishing
Oh,
sphere,
really?
like
Okay.
proper, but there are a
Hmm.
lot of satellite people that
Yes.
orbit the publishing sphere, but you are someone who comes from inside the lion's den, sort of speaking. So
So to speak, yeah.
yeah. So could you, like, in 250 characters, present yourself, and then
That might be a challenge. We're writers here, right?
okay,
You can't be succinct, but I
yeah,
will try.
yeah, or less
I'll
than
try.
yeah.
Okay, so creativity has always been part of my life. I think I wanted to be a writer as a child, but I had a relative make a comment that made me feel less than good enough and shut down the possibility. But what it did is sent me into being a designer, designing the books that the stories lived in. Straight out of uni, I was a freelance book designer for quite a few years. But it started to grow arms and legs as these things do. And I had a friend come to me saying, "Can you help me publish my book? Like, I'm doing this book. I don't know anything. Can you help me?" And all of those years of experience, I thought, well, actually, yeah, I can. Self-publishing at the time had suddenly become a thing. When I was a teenager, it wasn't so big. And I thought, yeah, let's do it. So I set up my own publishing company independently and started to help these people with their books. And what I found is people came to me and they were saying, "I really want to work with you," because I was offering author services and publishing services. But they're saying, "I'm stuck in the writing phase, really, really like so excited to get the book out into the world, but for various reasons, they just couldn't get the words out." And I had my own hang-ups about being a writer. So I went and trained as a coach so that I could take people through that whole process of, I want to write a book, don't know what to write, can't write, let's get through all of those blocks, etc., etc., all the way through to let's design the book, format it, and put it into the world. And what happened to me in that coaching process is I started to coach myself, and I found this memory popped up of this relative's comment, and I worked on that. I cleared out all of those limiting beliefs. And then last year, for the first time, it was like in 25 years, I started writing poetry again, which I hadn't done for so long. And then I went and joined a couple of multi-author book opportunities, and I also wrote my non-fiction. Eventually, I want to work up to fiction, but we'll start with non-fiction for now. So yeah, books are just my life.
Yeah.
Whether I'm talking about them, writing them, helping other people with them,
Yes.
it's what I do,
Yeah.
and I
That
love it.
that is awesome. Like, because people don't talk about the love of books. Yeah, it's sort of generic kind of term.
Yeah,
I picked up something, but it's truly, that's what it is. Actually, I think you see something that you're attracted to. It's like a tractor kind of pulling you in,
yeah,
and you say, "What is this thing? This new exotic, or I don't know." Even the way you choose the kind of the title, even the graphic design, it's a kind of a taboo to talk
yes.
about book design, because you have to talk about the content, the actual
Well,
literary.
yes, of course.
Yeah.
They kind of give you this idea that actually you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover. Everyone's always, that's the cliche, but actually we really do, even if we don't talk about it. That's one thing I have noticed, the difference between traditional publishing and self-publishing is the vast difference in quality of covers. And I come at it from a design point of view, so I can really notice the difference. And I do understand, some self-publishers doing it on a shoestring, they're doing it themselves.
I'll tell you a little anecdote. I'm sorry to stop you
That's
there.
All right, go for it.
Just when I see the new kind of Wordsworth classics that are being published out there, and I look at the covers, let me just pick one up. Sorry.
So good.
Yeah. So. Okay, I don't have one available at the current moment. It's in.
Always the way.
So I look at this like Hard Times, like Charles Dickens. Okay, you see those chimneys, but those are not 19th century chimneys. They are factory chimneys. Okay, I know these types of chimneys, and it's just a small anecdote, but the cover art and design, graphic designs of these titles are just insane. They have no like a congruency with the content of the books.
I think this is the problem when you've got designers, particularly who are designing those classics. They're so far removed from when they were originally written. And designers, I mean, I've done the cover design where I've not really been given much of the book information, just, a general overview. You've got so little to work on sometimes that you just have to kind of interpret it as best you can. And it can be really hard to get it right. But then that's the job of, the publisher, the author, to try and educate the designer and say, actually, this is more what we need. You haven't quite got it right, and make it more of a collaborative process.
Yeah, I like the 19th century kind of illustrated types of editions because I hail from the sphere of the art. I have an art degree, and a certificate in teaching art. But I like to try to combine those faculties. How do you find?
That's the beautiful thing about creativity and writing. It's all fluid, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. Like, I don't want to take up too much of the space, on the stage here. I want you to talk about it, but I just want to, sow the seeds that will flower later in the conversation. About art, what is your general kind of take on art? Because most people, they cannot go to an actual museum or an exhibition for more than 5 minutes and travel and, look at the plaques that actually say what the artist meant, or what is the motive behind it. Where do you find art when it comes to literature? Because when I read and write, I also imagine, actually being sunken into that world with the flowery language, shall we say.
Writing stories are an escape, aren't they? They create this magical world that you can kind of fall into. And for me, because art is so subjective, you can go, I remember going to the Tate Modern, and there was this massive floor to ceiling canvas, and it was just painted red. And there were people, and they were all sort of staring at it, all deep in thought.
Yeah, and it's Mark Rothke. Mark Rothke.
Yeah, I'm standing there with all my college friends, and there's all the comments of, well, what is this, and blah blah blah. But it's, for me, art, and also by extension writing, if it moves me, that's what I'm interested in, because everyone can say whether art is good or bad, and that's just their opinion. But I'm interested in, does it evoke some emotion in me or my reader or my viewer? Does it create some kind of connection between us? And when it does that, it kind of transcends for me, whether it's good, bad, ugly, pretty, because it's doing something else. It's connecting us through time, space, all of those things. And it's creating an experience for the person who's reading it or watching it or looking at it. That's, for me, what art and creativity is all about.
So, do you think that art and literature? Because when I say art, people think it's a beautiful painting, a well constructed sculpture. No, it's not. When I say art, I mean the seven traditional great arts and all their derivatives, throughout the ages. When I say art, I mean art with a capital A. So, what do you think the art of literature should strive to do on a, let's say, fictional, okay? Let's say the fictional realm should strive to do? Should it be more on the side of, a philosophical kind of method, trying to convey some streamlined message, or trying to actually bestow the reader with a philosophical way of living, or should it be just a fun and immersive experience?
Do you know what? I'm going to be awkward and not choose. I think it can be all of those things. And I think actually, if we didn't have one of those things, if we didn't have the art that's literature just for fun, we'd be missing something from the experience, because we all have different perspectives, and you're not going to find two writers that can write about, or that can write something just for fun, or that can write something that's going to bestow some wisdom. Everyone is going to have their own style, their own flair that works for them. So actually it can be all of those things, and I think it should, because for me the problem becomes when we're trying to put art, when we're trying to put writing, when we're trying to put these things in boxes, that's when it becomes really narrow and boring for people. I mean, I always use the analogy, when you're at school, everyone gets given a label, like I'm the creative one, the sporty one, the popular one, and people forget to take the labels off, and they sort of go through life thinking they have to be that. And actually what you then miss out on is like the richness of life, the richness of just experiencing everything, because you've just kept with that label. So for me, no, I'm not going to pick a side. I'm not going to pick just one. I think all of them, because that just adds to the richness of what art in literature can be.
Yeah. So, where does literature and writing meet you as a person, Camilla? When did the first muse? When was that visit? When did that visit occur
Ooh.
for you?
Oh, now you're taking me back a long, long way. I remember my dad has always been really into the latest technology. And so when the first computers came out, and we're not talking the flat screens, we're talking big CRT monitors and floppy disks and all that, he had to have one. So we were one of the first families I knew that had a personal computer at home. And I remember he got me some little games and things. But what really did it for me was Microsoft Word. And I'd sit there typing, and I'd stick in all these little animated GIFs and things, and I'd just write poetry for hours upon hours. And then he got a printer, so I could print it out and look at it and go show my mum, show my family, show my friends. And for me, that was just, I'd always loved writing, like hand drawing and, writing on paper, but suddenly having that computer that then allowed me to add graphics and illustrations, because it's not that I couldn't draw, but they had something different to them because they were moving. It just really ignited something in me. I know it sounds crazy, but for me, I just spend hours and hours just writing and writing. That was the first time that it just felt like I could just pour my soul onto the page in a way that's different to handwriting, because I know that when you write by hand, you are activating different parts of the brain. But what I find when I'm typing is, I don't know if it's just that I can kind of get out of my own way more. When I'm handwriting, I'm more conscious of whether my handwriting is neat or if I'm, keeping within the lines, etc. Whereas when I'm typing, I'm just letting the words flow. I get out of my way entirely. And that's when the magic happens.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite. I try to, it just my pay. Now I've gotten better at it. To organize even if physical, with a pen and longhand. It's very much more organized. And now that I've accrued a lot of knowledge, a lot of stuff like
Of
this.
course.
But sorry.
Of course, yeah. It takes time. It's like a gathering, isn't it?
Yeah, my brain, much more focused when I write, because now I'm in the process of writing. Now I have a mental block. I have a writing block, which is very serious, because a lot of people have criticized what I've written so far, that I need to recalibrate everything that I was trying to do with the writing and the story and the world building.
It can be really hard to kind of drown out everyone's noise really stay true to the heart and essence of what you want to say.
So my question was, everyone has that book or that literary work, whatever it is. There are a lot of genres, different genres within writing, within poetry and playwriting. A lot of wiggle room, shall we say, to play around and be creative. So what was the first book that actually spoke to you and told you, you can be a writer?